The ultimatum commander Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the reinforced viewport of the Terran defense station, watching the massive alien fleet materialize from hyperspace near Jupiter's outer moons. Each vessel dwarfed humanity's largest battleships, their dark hulls gleaming with energy shields that could deflect entire asteroid belts. She had spent 12 years as Earth's diplomatic liaison before taking military command, and in all that time, she had never seen anything like this. The communication array crackled to life as Admiral Marcus Torres appeared on the main screen. From Earth Command, his weathered face showed the strain of 3 sleepless nights since the alien fleet's arrival. Behind him, the bustling activity of the command center painted a picture of controlled chaos as humanity prepared for the unknown. Commander Chen were receiving their formal transmission now, Admiral Torres said, his voice carrying across the quantum link with perfect clarity. Dr. Vasquez is standing by to provide cultural analysis. Whatever they want, it's big enough to bring half their fleet to our doorstep. Sarah turned from the viewport as the alien message began filtering through the translation protocols. The holographic display showed a towering reptilian figure with scales that shifted between deep green and gold. Multiple eyes tracked independently while speaking, a trait that had unsettled human diplomats for decades. This was Ambassador Kethfa, representative of the Galaxy Council's Enforcement Division. "Attention, human leadership," the translated voice boomed through the station's speakers. "I am Ambassador Kethfa of the Galaxy Council, speaking for the combined world's authority that governs this galaxy's civilized species. Your species has been granted a rare opportunity to join the established order that has maintained peace for 15,000 years. Dr. Elena Vasquez materialized as a hologram beside the alien ambassador, her laboratory on Mars visible in the background. She had dedicated her career to studying the Galaxy Council's structure and had published numerous papers on their tribute system. Her expertise would be crucial in understanding whatever demand was coming. The Council has observed humanity's rapid expansion and technological development, Ambassador Kethfa continued. Your species shows promise, but requires proper guidance to avoid the chaos that destroyed countless civilizations before you. Therefore, the Council offers you membership under the Standard Integration Protocol. Sarah felt her stomach tighten. She had read Dr. Vasquez's research on integration protocols, and none of them ended well for the integrated species. The ambassador's next words confirmed her worst fears. Under this protocol, humanity will contribute 70% of all industrial output to the Council's resource distribution network. 50% of your population will be relocated to designated worlds where they can receive proper cultural education. All military technology and spacecraft designs must be surrendered to Council oversight within 90 standard days. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Captain James Wright, the station's tactical officer, slowly shook his head in disbelief. His grandfather had fought in the colonial independence wars, and the irony was not lost on him that humanity faced the same choice. Their ancestors had confronted centuries earlier. Dr. Vasquez activated her communication link, her voice tight with controlled anger. Ambassador, what you're describing isn't integration. It's complete subjugation. You're asking us to surrender our freedom, our people, and our future. The alien's multiple eyes focused on her image with what might have been amusement. Dr. Vasquez, your research into our methods is well known to the Council. You understand that chaos results when species are allowed unlimited expansion. The tribute system prevents war and ensures galactic stability, at the cost of crushing every species under your control. Dr. Vasquez replied. My studies show that integrated civilizations lose all technological innovation within 3 generations. They become nothing more than resource extraction operations. Admiral Torres leaned forward on his command chair, his military bearing evident even through the holographic display. Ambassador Quechua, humanity has been a member of the Galactic Council for 75 years. We've participated in diplomatic exchanges and contributed to galactic knowledge. Why are you suddenly demanding tribute? The reptilian ambassador's scales shifted to a deeper gold, indicating what human xenobiologists had learned was satisfaction or approval. Admiral Torres, your species was granted provisional membership to observe and learn. The Council has determined that humanity's expansion rate and technological development require immediate integration to prevent future conflicts. Sarah activated the station's internal communication system, connecting to the emergency council session taking place simultaneously on Earth, Mars, Europa, and the outer colonies. Representatives from every human world appeared on subsidiary screens around the main display, their faces reflecting the same shock and anger she felt. President Maria Santos spoke from her office in Geneva, her voice carrying the weight of representing 8 billion humans across dozens of worlds. Ambassador, you're asking us to surrender everything that makes us human. Our independence, our right to explore and grow, our freedom to make our own choices. What assurance do we have that this integration won't simply lead to slavery? President Santos, the ambassador, replied, slavery is a primitive concept. Integrated species serve the greater galactic community. They receive protection, resources, and guidance in exchange for their contributions. No integrated species has experienced war or conflict in thousands of years. Dr. Vasquez pulled up historical data on her laboratory screens, sharing it with the conference participants. Because they don't have the freedom to fight, she said. Every species that accepted integration protocols became docile within a few generations. They lost their drive to explore, to innovate, to dream of something better. The discussion continued as human leaders grappled with an impossible choice. Some suggested negotiating for better terms, while others proposed finding ways to delay the decision. Sarah listened to the debates while watching the alien fleet through the viewport, counting the vessels that held enough firepower to crack planets. Captain Wright approached her with a tactical assessment, his voice low enough that only she could hear. Commander, I've been running scenarios through the combat computer. Even if we mobilized every ship in the human fleet, we'd be outnumbered 20-1. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Sarah nodded, understanding the mathematics of destruction that Captain Wright presented. But something else nagged at her mind, something that went beyond tactical considerations or diplomatic negotiations. She thought about her daughter attending university on New Geneva, studying to become an engineer. She thought about the research teams pushing the boundaries of faster-than-light travel. She thought about the artists and musicians creating new forms of expression that blended Earth traditions with discoveries from alien worlds. Dr. Vasquez, Sarah said, interrupting the ongoing discussions. In all your research on the Council's integration protocols, have you found any record of a species simply refusing? The xenobiologist paused, accessing her extensive databases through neural interface connections. After several minutes, she looked up with surprise evident on her face. No, Commander. In 15,000 years of Council records, every species either accepted integration immediately or fought brief conventional wars before surrendering. No species has ever simply said no and meant it. Ambassador Kethva's scales shifted to a pattern that human observers had never catalogued before. His multiple eyes focused intently on Dr. Vasquez's image as if seeing her clearly for the first time. Doctor, such a response would be ... unprecedented. The Council's protocols have no provision for absolute refusal. The emergency session participants fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity faced a choice that no other species in galactic history had confronted. They could accept integration and lose everything that made them human. Or they could refuse and face the unknown consequences of challenging a system that had stood unchallenged for millennia. President Santos called for a formal vote among all human representatives. One by one, the leaders of Earth's colonies and settlements cast their ballots. The result was unanimous across every world, every station, every ship in human space. When the final vote was recorded, Sarah felt a mixture of pride and terror. At what her species had chosen, she turned to face Ambassador Kethva's image, knowing that her next words would echo through galactic history. Ambassador, we've reached our decision. Please transmit this message to the Galaxy Council leadership. The alien representative's scales continued shifting through patterns that suggested confusion and anticipation. I am prepared to receive. Your response, Commander Chen. Sarah took a deep breath, thinking of all the humans who would live or die based on what happened next. She thought of her daughter and all the children who deserved the chance to reach for the stars without asking. Permission from ancient powers that feared change? No. After long minutes of silence, the ambassador's voice returned, but it carried a quality that human ears had never heard before. Uncertainty, Commander Chen, I must consult with the Council's senior leadership. This response requires interpretation. As the alien transmission ended, Sarah looked out at the massive fleet surrounding Jupiter and wondered what storm humanity had just unleashed upon itself. But deep in her heart, she knew they had made the only choice that truly mattered, the choice to remain free. Asterisk, the ripple affect the galaxy. Council's emergency chamber had not witnessed such chaos in over 8,000 years. Elder Vorthak, whose crystalline form had presided over countless integration ceremonies, stood motionless at the center of the circular assembly as representatives from 200 species created a cacophony of untranslatable sounds expressing shock, confusion, and fear. Zixtera, the insectoid enforcement director, clicked her mandibles in rapid patterns that indicated extreme agitation. Her species had served as the Council's primary military force for 3 millennia, and she had personally overseen the integration of 47 civilizations. None had ever simply refused the Council's authority. Elder Vorthak, she buzzed. Through the translation matrix, the humans have created an unprecedented situation. Our behavioral prediction models have no framework for processing absolute defiance. How do we respond to a species that rejects the natural order? The ancient being's crystalline surface pulsed with colors that shifted through the spectrum as he processed information from across the galaxy. His form had existed for over 12,000 years, witnessing the rise and fall of countless civilizations. But never had he encountered a response like humanity's single-word rejection. Director Zixthora, his voice resonated through harmonic frequencies that bypassed normal translation. The humans present us with a philosophical challenge we have not faced since the Council's founding. Their refusal suggests they believe survival is possible outside our protection. This belief could prove ... infectious. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Rachel Stone coordinated humanity's defense preparations from a command bunker deep beneath the Swiss Alps. Unlike the formal diplomatic responses that had characterized humanity's previous interactions with the Galaxy Council, she focused on practical survival strategies that acknowledged the mathematical impossibility of conventional victory. All civilian populations in outer colonies are being evacuated to secondary positions, she reported to the Emergency Leadership Council. We're implementing the distributed survival protocol. If they want to destroy us, they'll have to hunt down every ship, every station, every hidden outpost across 50 star systems. Dr. Vasquez materialized in the bunker through holographic projection, her excitement barely contained despite the dire circumstances. General Stone, I'm detecting something extraordinary in the Council's communication networks. There's chatter from species we've never heard from before, species that have been silent for centuries. The implications of Dr. Vasquez's discovery became clear as Captain David Kim transmitted from his deep space reconnaissance vessel near the galactic rim. His ship was one of dozens conducting long-range surveys when the crisis began. But now he found himself documenting something unprecedented. Command, I'm observing unusual activity in the Vega sector, Captain Kim reported. Long dormant, industrial facilities are coming online on worlds that have been passive for generations. It looks like other species are starting to move. His transmission was interrupted by an incoming signal on a frequency that human technology shouldn't have been able to receive. The voice that emerged from the static belonged to no species in humanity's diplomatic database. But the universal translator managed to process the alien words into recognizable speech. Human vessel, this is Nixara of the Threnody Collective. We have monitored your response to the Council's demands. We wish to communicate privately. The transmission carried harmonics that suggested the speaker was young by alien standards. Perhaps someone who had grown up knowing only Council rule, but retained ancestral memories of freedom. Captain Kim activated his ship's stealth systems and responded carefully. Nixara, this is Captain Kim of the human exploration vessel Horizon. We're listening. What followed was a conversation that revealed the truth about the Galaxy Council's seemingly unshakable power. The Threnody had been integrated over 3,000 years ago, their natural curiosity and inventiveness gradually suppressed through careful population management and cultural restrictions. But some individuals in each generation retained the spark of independence that the Council worked so hard to eliminate. Captain Kim Nixara explained through frequencies that bypassed Council monitoring systems. Your species has done something we thought impossible. For thousands of years, we believed the Council's power was absolute because no one had ever challenged it. But your refusal has shown us that the Emperor truly has no clothes. Similar communications began reaching human vessels throughout explored space. Species that had remained silent for millennia started transmitting messages of support, sharing intelligence about Council weaknesses, and revealing a network of underground resistance movements that had been dormant for centuries. Back on Earth, President Santos received reports that painted a picture of galactic transformation, spreading outward from humanity's simple refusal. Dr. Vasquez, are you telling me that our rejection of the Council's demands has triggered a galaxy-wide awakening? That's exactly what I'm telling you, Madam President. Dr. Vasquez replied from her laboratory, where screens displayed communication intercepts from dozens of previously silent worlds. The Council's power structure was based entirely on the assumption that resistance was impossible. By proving that assumption wrong, we've given other species permission to remember what freedom feels like. The situation became more complex as Elder Vorthak attempted to contact President Santos directly, bypassing normal diplomatic channels in an unprecedented breach of Council protocol. His crystalline form appeared in the presidential conference room through advanced holographic technology that made him seem physically present. "President Santos," the ancient being said, his harmonic voice carrying undertones of something that might have been respect. "Your species has created a situation that threatens the stability of galactic civilization. The Council has maintained peace for 15 millennia through the integration system. Without it, chaos will return." President Santos stood to address the being whose civilization was older than human recorded history. "Elder Vorthak, you call it peace, but it's the peace of the grave. Your integration system doesn't prevent conflict, it prevents growth, innovation, and the natural evolution of consciousness that drives species to reach beyond their limitations. And what of the wars that claimed billions of lives before the Council's rise?" Vorthak's colors shifted to patterns, suggesting genuine curiosity rather than condescension. "What of the species that destroyed themselves in pursuit of unlimited expansion? What of the species that might have reached heights you can't imagine if they'd been free to try?" President Santos replied, "Your system prevents disasters by preventing possibilities. Humanity chooses possibility." As their conversation continued, reports poured in from across the galaxy. The Kalari Syndicate, integrated 4,000 years ago, had begun moving their mothballed fleet toward Council space. The morphic collectives were emerging from forced hibernation on worlds that had been quiet for 2 millennia. Even some Council member species were questioning the tribute system for the first time in their recorded history. Zixera materialized beside Elder Vorthak, her insectoid form vibrating with controlled fury. "Elder, 17 sectors are reporting resistance activities. The humans' Defiance has inspired rebellion among 43 integrated species. Our enforcement fleets are spread too thin to contain simultaneous uprisings across the galaxy, General." Stone observed this exchange from her command bunker with grim satisfaction. "They're learning what every human child knows from studying history. Oppression only works as long as people believe they have no choice. The moment someone stands up and says no, others remember they can do the same." Captain Kim transmitted updated intelligence from his position near the galactic rim. "Command, I'm observing massive fleet movements from previously dormant systems. It looks like species we've never encountered are joining what's becoming a galaxy-wide alliance. The Council's enforcement fleets are being forced to retreat from multiple sectors." The transformation accelerated as news of humanity's refusals spread through communication networks that the Council had never known existed. Underground resistance, movements that had maintained hope through millennia of suppression, suddenly had proof that the established order could be challenged. Dr. Vasquez compiled the incoming data into a comprehensive analysis that revealed the scope of what humanity had unleashed. The Council's integration system was never as strong as it appeared, she explained to the assembled human leadership. It was a house of cards maintained by collective belief in its invincibility. By refusing to accept their authority, we've brought the entire structure crashing down. Elder Vorthak's final transmission to Earth carried undertones of resignation, and perhaps something that might have been admiration. "President Santos, your species has achieved something we believed impossible. You have changed the fundamental nature of galactic civilization through the power of a single word. The consequences will echo through eternity." As the alien fleets began withdrawing from human space to deal with rebellions across dozens of sectors, Sarah Chen stood once again at the viewport of her space station. The view was the same, Jupiter turning slowly in the darkness, but everything had changed. Humanity had not just preserved their freedom, they had given freedom back to an entire galaxy. The final report from Captain Kim's Deep Space Reconnaissance painted a picture of transformation that exceeded humanity's wildest dreams. Command, we're receiving invitations to join a new galactic confederation based on cooperation rather than domination. Species that have been silent for thousands of years want to work together to build something the galaxy has never seen. A civilization based on choice rather than compulsion. General Stone smiled as she read the tactical reports showing Council fleets in full retreat. It turns out that the most powerful weapon in the galaxy wasn't advanced technology or superior numbers. It was the simple human ability to look at overwhelming power and say no and mean it.